Ladies and gentlemen, gamers of all ages, welcome to this Tric Trac video, the community update number 3 for the 7th Continent Kickstarter project. Now, this is going to be a very quick one today. We're kind of rushed. Essen is just around the corner, plus I don't know if anybody's aware, but there's been a huge amount of problems with train lines, which is how we were meant to travel. Fires in Germany, strikes in Belgium, it's a bit of a mess, so we're kind of having to redo the whole travel plan. Anyway, two things I need to speak to you about today. One of them is something to do with shipping, and the other one is to talk about the add-on that we released the other day. Now, the shipping is a slight error that we've made during the Kickstarter setup process. Sadly, this isn't something that Kickstarter lets us correct just yet. We have contacted them, but apparently they can't correct it for us. I don't think it's going to make a big difference to the 99%, but for those of you that hadn't read all the way through the page or that didn't read the pledge descriptions, shipping will be charged after the campaign, as is mentioned on the main page and in the description of the pledge. However, when Bruno and Serious Pulp were setting up the KS page, when it comes to specifying what shipping you'd like to do, there are two choices. You either say no shipping whatsoever or shipping everywhere in the world. Now, they mistook no shipping whatsoever as in we wouldn't be able to ship outside of the European Union or something like that, as compared to shipping around the world, which is what they actually want to do, which is to ship to anybody no matter where you are. What it does actually mean, however, is that shipping for everybody in the world was included in the price. It's not, like I said, I think 99% of you know that, but for those of you who don't, we do apologize for the confusion. If you look through the rest of the page and the pledge description, it is specified that shipping is not included. That's the only thing. It's a small detail. It shouldn't affect too many people, but it is worth mentioning to avoid confusion later on in the project. Now, add-ons. There were mixed returns, a couple of mixed returns on the whole add-on thing, and I think it was worth clarifying exactly what an add-on is in the 7th Continent, or to be honest, in any real good Kickstarter project. The thing with the 7th Continent is that when I say the sky's the limit for this kind of game, it kind of is. You have to fix a ceiling to what you want to do with a game, because with something like this, we could turn a game like a sandbox game like, I don't know, Skyrim or GTA or whatever you want, a game like that into a card game with this kind of system and loads of different mechanics to manage all different sorts of things. But the problem is you have to eventually put a limit on time and cost, both in how many cards you're going to put into the base box and how much you are eventually going to sell it for. Now, that's one of the things that Bruno and Serious Pulp had to do with 7th Continent. One of the things that they developed but didn't make the cut is this time system. Now, it was something that some people did ask if we were going to do something about it, if we were going to put a system like that in eventually. So we have, there you go. But I think what is very important to mention is that the fact that this didn't make the cut for the main box is a very, very specific reason. And that reason is it's not essential to the game, okay? The game shouldn't limit you limit how much time you spend on the continent. This doesn't limit it either. It kind of manages it. It gives you some bonuses. It gives you some negatives, depending on what kind of cards you draw. And of course, as with everything else, if you think that this add-on is that simple, if you think we haven't put some little hidden treats in there for all of you, well, you obviously don't know us well enough yet, so it's a bit more complicated than that. But just to say that if this didn't make it into the actual game box, it's because it's not what we consider to be an essential part of the 7th Continent experience. So, to all of you that are worried that you don't want to spend any more money on the campaign, but you're worried that you won't get the full 7th Continent experience, don't fret. It's an add-on. It is completely optional. It's there. It's a little bit extra for those that want a little bit extra, but it is in by no means a way essential to your adventure on the 7th Continent. Some of you may not even like the idea, which I fully understand. For those of you who do, for a bit more of a sort of don't starve vibe or that sort of thing, for those who have played that game, this goes a little way towards that kind of thing. There will be other add-ons in the campaign with exactly the same principle and philosophy, as in things that were developed, have been tested. That is worth mentioning. These aren't things that are coming out the blue. They have been developed, they just didn't make the final cut. So when they do go into the game, they won't slow us down with our production or with testing or developing. If you've read through the Kickstarter page, you'll see that 90% of that is done already. These add-ons are included in that 90%. So if you're looking for the full Kickstarter experience, but you want to spend as little money as possible, then by all means, take the minimum €59 pledge. That pledge is the 7th Continent. Everything that comes after is just something to spice it up, make it longer, more random, a bit more interesting. It is in by no means way, shape or form essential to the game. So I hope that clears things up a bit. To speak a little bit more about that add-on, because there have been a few questions, as mentioned, it does allow you to manage the time you spend on the 7th continent. Every time you save the game, you'll draw a 777 card. 777 card from the deck, there we go, which will sometimes give you neutral benefits, positive benefits, and sometimes negative benefits. I can't really mention more, but this can go from anything from having a particularly good night's sleep to having, haunted nightmares that give you a certain state, for example, this kind of thing. It varies greatly, and the mechanic is that once you've drawn all the 777 cards, you'll take another card which will reintroduce these cards back into the game. And this cycle continues, I won't say how many times, but a couple of times. And then once that's happened, there's other stuff. Like I said, if you think that we keep it that simple without some little bit of surprises for you guys, like I said, you don't know us that well enough yet. So do stay tuned, you will see. But like I said, it is nothing essential to what the game is actually all about. It's a little bit extra for those that might be interested, those that want it. If you don't want it, feel free not to back it. That is perfectly acceptable. We perfectly understand. It's why it's an add-on and not part of the actual game. If this was an essential part of the game, we would have put it in the base box and upped the price, or I don't know what, but it's not, so there you go. I think I've repeated myself a couple of times there, but I hope that gets the message through to you guys. Now, I mentioned Essen earlier on, so I am off to Essen this afternoon. Bruno and Ludo are off to Essen tomorrow. Now, we have prepared all of our stretch goals and all of our texts for the next couple of days, but, sorry, just guys leaving from the studio there, just saying goodbye. Shouldn't have waved, but never mind. Where was I? Yes. So we prepared all of our texts from the, oh God, here we go again. They're making silly faces at me through the studio window. Game face, Jamie, game face. Right. We will be going to Essen tonight for me, tomorrow for Serious Paul. We have prepared all of our stretch goal and add-on text for the next couple of days, so that should be fine. But do be aware that we will be at the exposition during the day. We will do our best to update, and I will reply to all questions in the morning and in the evening. So if there's a bit of a lag, don't worry, we're not ignoring you or we haven't run off. We are still here, we're just running through Essen. Now, if you are at Essen, please feel free to stop by the Serious Paul booth, where we will have 2 demo games running. So if there's space, by all means hop in or have a look at a game and you'll get a better idea of what it's all about. Apart from that, I will be back from Essen normally Sunday, as will the Serious Pulp team, so normal service will resume Sunday afternoon, Monday morning. If you have any pressing questions, please send them today and we will try and respond to them before we leave. However, if not, then personal messages especially will probably not be responded to until we get back. We do apologise for the delay, but Essen is kind of a big deal. But we are going to take care of you while we're there. Like I said, there will be no interruption with the stretch goals, the add-ons and everything else. I think that's it. Like I said, this was meant to be a short one, but I think it's gotten a bit too long. So thank you very much for backing once again. As you've no doubt noticed, we're at 500,000. Absolutely fantastic, over the moon. A lot of people have asked us what we were expecting to do. Now, we knew the game had a lot of potential. We didn't expect to hit this high until later on in the project. So this is still amazing news for us. Thank you everybody who has made this such a success and making the whole 7th continent dream come true. My name's Jamie, I'm your community manager, and until next time, see you then.